Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm Tucker, joined by my eyebrowed co-host, Abram Buhner, and today we're here to talk about video games and how much we have enjoyed the ones we've been playing lately. But if you want to talk to us about those games or anything we mentioned today, any video games you've been playing, you can join our Discord. We're going to have an introduction of a special segment today that involves the people of the Discord. But I'm very excited to have you here. It's been a little while since we did it because we have been reviewing so much stuff that BLB has been sort of put on the back burner. But I'm happy to be reviewing stuff again. But I don't want to show my cards too early. But I've actually played a couple games this week, so I'm really excited to have some conversations about these.
Now, Tucker, I'm gonna have to hope that a lot of the games you've played are games that I've played also, because ultimately I don't have a whole lot to contribute this episode. I hate to say it.
Classic Abram moment. Never playing any games.
I know. It's very. I'm not a huge video game fan, as the audience will know, so it's not that characteristic. But ultimately, like Tucker, you're saying, we have reviewed a lot of stuff. I played Kirby Superstar Ultra. We're gonna have a review for that out. I played Kane and Burge of Spirits. We already have the review for that out.
Yes.
I've been playing one other game that we're no longer reviewing that I'm going to talk about, and one other one that I dabbled in. But it's been a period of reviews.
Yes. A refractory period, if you will.
I won't, but
But you'll allow me to say. Okay. Do you want to start? Or okay, so I should probably start
I've got 4 games actually.
I'm gonna fucking I can't say what I'm gonna do to you, but fuck you, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with actually you know what? Let's start with the one we know we both can talk about, which is of course Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania for Nintendo Switch. Super Monkey Ball.
Hello, banana. Fucking awesome theme song.
Yeah, it's a really good theme song. And of course, it also transitions into like this trumpet riff that plays over the menus, which is fucking banger. It's got this great trumpet riff that me and my friends were playing some party games I was getting into, but every time we would back out to the menus, we would hear that riff and I'd be like, oh shit, this is jazzy.
Yes, that's exactly my reaction. The same intonation I had when I heard it.
But you like this game.
This is my favorite game of the year.
That makes a lot of sense. That tracks, yeah.
No, I genuinely love this game. I know that you said you tried to get me one night. Here I am. I'm fucking sitting in bed. It's like 11:30 at night. I'm starting Skyfall. It's too late to start Skyfall. It's a 2.5 hour long movie.
Yes.
But I'm sitting here. I got my Mott's applesauce and I got my Goldman's gummy bears.
Sure. The classic movie snacks.
Yes, and I'm about to start my feature film, and I see there's a message from Tucker Hazel who says, well, maybe Monkey Ball just isn't that fun. So then I replied with the iconic Eric Andre gif, why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Yeah.
And then I went on to watch a defining performance from Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
But Tucker, I really love this game.
Yes.
And I want to go to bat for it.
No, sure. No, here's the thing.
Yes.
It's not going to take you a lot to go to bat for it because this is simply a difference of experience because you have grown up playing these games and are more intimately familiar with the balls. You're very intimate with the balls. But the controls and the level design, that takes some getting used to it because it's very different from the rest of video games, honestly. And so when I'm getting into Monkey Ball, and I tried Banana Blitz HD a couple months ago, as I believe we talked about on here, and I was middling on it, but never put any effort to finish it. I am 8 worlds out of 10 into the Super Monkey Ball 2 versions of the story of Banana Mania, which is the story mode of Banana Mania, and I probably played 5 hours of this game because I've also played a bunch of the side content, lots of party mode with my friends, which is by far the best aspect of this game, in my opinion. And I think it's totally fine. I can see where the joy lies, and I've enjoyed a good amount of levels. I don't think it's a bad game by any means, but I think Monkey Ball is just such an acquired taste and such a mechanical skill game that does not vibe with me in terms of you having to do things very precisely in order to ostensibly enjoy a lot of the levels. That I find myself getting. It's the kind of frustration and difficulty that when I finish a level, I'm like, holy fuck, I'm so glad that's finally over. I lucked into getting to the goal after 40 tries. that I never want to go back to this level. I have no intention of playing the over levels again because I'm just like, man, it's not a satisfying frustration. It's good Lord. Okay, fuck, that's finally over. I can move on to something else. I can see something else. I never have to think about that again. And it's unfortunate because I do see the quality here. I see the uniqueness here. I enjoy the character designs, but man, that difficulty curve is not a curve.
Well, and I don't think
it's like a comb. It's like a comb.
It's a roller coaster. And I think that's exactly what the monkey ball difficulty curve should be, frankly. I think that we get a very singular idea of what a difficulty curve should be. We think a difficulty curve should be exponential. And in the case of a lot of genres, I think that makes perfect sense. But I don't think that as something as rigid as that is fun in the context of Monkey Ball, because Monkey Ball is about physics. It's a puzzle platformer. And if Monkey Ball ratcheted up in its intensity just in an exponential fashion, I don't think it would be nearly as rewarding. The reason I find Monkey Ball so rewarding is because, yeah, it's like a roller coaster. You're going to have this track upwards. You're going to hit the apex of the difficulty, but then they're very smart to, after that level, give you a couple that you cruise through.
Sure, no, that's a good point.
You move around, and it's that feeling of kind of meta momentum on top of the momentum inside of a level, which makes this game so fun to play for me. Personally, I find Monkey Ball to be a very, very rewarding experience because you
love playing with your balls.
As I have demonstrated on camera plenty of times.
Yeah.
But there's something very rewarding about understanding the physics of such a mechanically simple game. You're tilting the stage. That's the gameplay. And the stages are designed in such a way that there is an intended route, but for about 80% of the levels, that route doesn't matter. You can go wherever you want. And so there's the challenge of completing a Monkey Ball level, and then the challenge of optimizing a Monkey Ball level. And that's super fun. And then so when you do hit a launchers, or when you do hit the one that sends you to the fucking rapture, if you bounce off of the pistons, called pistons, when you hit those roadblocks, but when you get over them and then you cruise through a couple levels and you're kind of skating in this ebb and flow of difficulty, I think it feels really great. But it's also very hard. I will not deny that this game is very hard.
I think my problem comes from not necessarily that the difficulty curve is off, because you make a very good point of it having that ebb and flow and being able to ramp back up your confidence by cruising through. Like, I was playing World 7 and half those levels are just stupidly easy. Like, I beat them on my third try, as opposed to some of the ones in Worlds 3 or 4 that were I was just stuck on, and it was really frustrating. So I can understand that, but I think the problem comes from those really difficult stages, a solid subsect of them not feeling like fair challenges, feeling like the physics or the movement of whatever the fuck level elements they've placed in the world don't feel well balanced. I mean, when you talk about launchers, those physics are not designed. The physics of you zooming up this thing are clearly not designed for like the rest of the game, because if you shoot up at the minutely wrong angle, or you place yourself at the minutely wrong angle on the thing, then you rocket off, you bounce off the thing, you go somewhere else, and you're like, okay, well, now I have to do it all over again. And they add on top of that the goal is moving in a circle around the top of that level. Like, okay, one of these elements would have been fine to include, but when you combine the two, and combined with the fact that these launchers that push you ridiculously fast have been nowhere else in the game, this level feels out of place. This kind of physics feels not as balanced as the rest of the physics in the game, where you're tilting the level. It doesn't feel like it works in the context of what Monkey Ball does best, which, you're right, is getting the nuance of tilting the stick. But those launchers completely bork that, and it's those levels that really stand out, and I feel like do feel imbalanced and out of place.
No, I think that's fair, because well, so here's the thing. It's clearly a type of challenge that the rest of the game doesn't prepare you for. Sure, but at the same time, it's still an understandable set of physics, because if you experiment a little bit, you'll learn that, okay, if I come to a stop in front of the launcher and I let it push me, and then I use my momentum going forward, you can just travel straight up the platform, land on the top, wait for the goal to roll around, and drop down into it.
Sure,
There are ways to understand it, because I think that everything operates by an understandable set of rules. It's just whether or not you come to understand those rules because the game has built them up, or because you have to experiment to figure them out.
Sure.
Now, I think in the context of Monkey Ball 2 on GameCube, those would have been a lot more frustrating, because that had a live system.
Yeah.
This has no live system.
Yes.
Monkey Ball Banana Mania is the best way to try Monkey Ball because it is absolutely by far the most forgiving.
Yes.
And you not
and
only
accessible.
yes, there are a ton of accessibility features. You can slow down time. You can see the pathway exactly where to walk. You can just mark a level as cleared if you really can't beat it.
Yes.
And
yes.
Those are they're completely optional. I didn't use a single one of those. I just used a lot of lives to figure out how to get through certain levels.
Or a lot of tries.
Sorry, a lot of tries to pull off skips and everything. But I think that the implementation of these features with no lives, the accessibility things, the ability to just skip a level if you want to, for me, makes these issues basically not pronounced at all, when I still do think that the levels individually operate within an understandable set of rules.
No, I do think that you're right. I think what Monkey Ball is working at its best for a player such as myself who doesn't have that mindset for pure mechanical skill, who doesn't have the mindset of try and fail and experiment until I get this game's physics exactly right. I have found myself greatly appreciating the accessibility options. Now, there's ostensibly 3 of them, which is the skip one, which is fine. I mean, that makes sense. I think that's the most helpful. It uses 2,000 points, which I guess makes sense. But if you've skipped a lot of levels because you're not doing well, then you're not going to be able to skip levels later on because you're not doing well because you don't have points. So like, I don't know why there's a caveat to that necessarily. But the slowdown time one comes with a pro and a con. The pro, I would say, is that you can slow down time, and that allows the really ridiculously fast level elements to be a lot more manageable. But that pathway, the pathway is helpful in approximately 40% of the levels, because the pathway does not account for moving objects. So it'll just be going off into space, or it'll like be going like this, and the arrows will be like clipping through things. This is not helpful in the slightest. Like, I don't know where to go, and clearly the fucking path doesn't know where to go, because it's trying to draw a straight line from the beginning to the end, and that's just not helpful at all. But the other 2 make up for that, I would say. It's just kind of almost funny that doesn't work in the way that it clearly should be designed to. But that's a relatively small issue in terms of compared to the accessibility that I found myself being able to engage with throughout this game.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to me to just the overall package being really great. I mean, this game is full of content.
Yeah,
it is full of content, and it's full of content in a traditional 6th generation sense. This is full of just unlockables that you get through gameplay, and wacky side modes and extra content and bonuses that didn't need to be there, but just make this such a rich package. I really think that this is an excellent way to bring Monkey Ball back, and I'm so excited that it turned out as well as it did. I will say my one con, because then the gameplay is excellent from my perspective. I think the package is excellent at $40. It's a fucking steal.
100%. Yeah.
I will say that it does feel a bit cheap.
Visually, yes.
I
100%. I totally agree.
So yes. So this game is developed on the Banana Blitz HD engine.
Yes. It's Unity.
Yes.
And you can tell.
Yeah, it's developed It's developed in Unity, and it uses Banana Blitz HD assets in Unity.
Yes, true.
And so it's clear that Sega did not know how this game was going to do. And I'm still not sure if we know. Obviously, it just released this week, so we won't have sales figures for a while.
Yeah.
But I would hope that the critical success of this game and a mild sales success will show to Sega that this is a series worth investing Crash Bandicoot 4 style resources in.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think that this is a package that it exceeds a Spyro trilogy or a Crash trilogy in terms of content, in terms of love, but not in terms of fidelity, not in terms of
production
value. So, and that's understandable, because bringing back Monkey Ball was a risk. The games don't sell well. They have not reviewed well in a very long time. I understand why Monkey Ball is built within the framework it's built within. And that's totally fine. It just means that for the next one, I want something more than a reuse of the framework from Banana Mania HD, which is not only a stock standard engine, which is not usually a problem. I mean, fucking half the games we play are developed on Unreal. But using assets that are remade assets from the Wii era, it's time to push Monkey Ball forward a little bit more.
No, I definitely agree. And I mean, you can feel this game's age. It's a clearly modern package in terms of including so much from all the games, and including a lot of accessibility features and lots of fun side things that could not have appeared in the older games, like unlockable characters, like including multiple games in one. But visually, it's passable, but that's like really all you can say. It doesn't shine. There are some stages that just look clunky. And I do think that it could clearly have a lot more value, production value put into it. I think that also especially shines through in a bad way. It shadows through in the party modes, which are fun to play with your friends, but most of them are just borked physics wise. Like the racing mode is bare bones. And but I mean, it's fun. We really enjoyed Monkey Target. Once we got the hang of it, that was really fun. We played the billiards one, which is very basic, but they're fun to play with friends, but they're clearly just serviceable, like barely modernized adaptations of really old small game modes. So I enjoy the fact that they're in there, and they certainly do not take anything away from the package. But yeah, I also think it also shows the lack of production value shows in those really, really lame story cutscenes, which are just the monkeys sitting in front of a TV watching I and Dr. I don't know the character's name, but because they don't fucking say
Dr. Bad Boon.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that tracks.
Yes.
But they don't say his name at any point in the story mode because it's just them watching like a cartoon, but like not an animated cartoon, like a puppet show cartoon. And I think those are pretty distractingly bad.
Yes, I agree.
And it's unfortunate because I think there could be a lot of charm to these characters. And one thing that I do really like, and this is basically becoming our Super Monkey Ball review, if we're really talking about it, is I really like the variety, quote unquote, of locations. I mean, there's one world where you're inside a whale. There's one world where you're on top of a fucking, you're in a bowl of soup. There's one where you're on top of a washing machine that's overflowing. It's like, all right, who the fuck came up with this? I love you. Just, it doesn't make any difference to the levels because they're just floating in a void, but having those very, very varied backgrounds is a lot of fun. But they could be placed into a ridiculous and nonsensical, but cohesive story where is being chased around and he ends up in a bowl of giant soup. What doesn't matter, but when you present it through little puppet things that are like, have speech bubbles with an indiscriminate object in it that's supposed to indicate what the goal of that world is. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously?
No, I agree, and that is where the lack of budget shows the clearest because those are fully animated CG cutscenes on
I've heard
GameCube. So ultimately, that's the sacrifice we had to have Banana Mania.
Yeah,
and it's an understandable one. It's one that takes away from the package, but I think that if you're weighing the content and the gameplay against what we lose, it's really exceptional. This is Metroid Dread is probably going to beat it, but I think that in Halo Infinite, that's a fucking roll of the dice. Yeah. But I think that this is going to end up in my top 3 games of the year easily.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so for your sake. Okay, I guess I started this one, so I'll throw the next one to you.
Yeah, I played an hour of Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
I just want to put that out there. Yeah. Ultimately, I have not played nearly enough to really say a whole hell of a lot about it. I have played Kingdom Hearts 1 in the past, never got especially far in it. I got to Alice in Wonderland. Returning to it this time after Sora got announced for Smash Brothers, and we wanted to, have some experience with Kingdom Hearts more than what I've had in the past in a circumspect way of playing a little bit of 1, a little bit of 3.
Yeah,
I really wanted to dive in, and I want to beat Kingdom Hearts 1. It'll probably take the course of this month to do. But I'm excited to do so. I think that the game feels old in a lot of respects, understandably so. But that platforming feels very floaty and not a particularly satisfying way.
Sure. Is there a good amount of platforming? I'll just quickly share my experience with the first game on PS2. I don't know how much I played. It was probably no more than 80 minutes. I don't even know if I saw Disney elements, to be honest, because there's a pretty long opening.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time on Destiny Island.
Yeah. So I think that's probably as far as I got.
Yeah, so there is a solid amount of platforming. I remember there being more when you get deeper into the game, and this is a game inspired by Mario 64 on the record, and knowing that and playing it, you can kind of see some of those 5th gen Nintendo influences in there, some Ocarina of Time, some Mario 64, which I find pretty cool. But it definitely feels clunky. But not clunky in a way that makes me not want to play. It just just contextualizes it within, this game came out in, I forget, 2002, 2003.
Sure, yeah.
And because of that, I would have liked the 1.5 remix, which is where I'm playing it, to have maybe tightened up those physics a little bit, made the manual camera a little bit faster, a little bit more responsive.
Is there not an option for that in settings?
There's no. You can have auto camera or manual camera, and that manual camera operates at one speed, which is not a satisfying one.
Okay.
And I just don't like Riku that much. I don't like Kairi that much. I think that the game is in this weird place where it wants to tell a Tetsuya Nomura story, because this is a Tetsuya Nomura story, but it's trying to tell them with Bratz dolls children. But there is nonetheless a timeless quality to that, right? When the Disney characters show up, and then you've got the older characters who are there alongside the kids, and that amazing soundtrack kicks in, and they're talking about fucking destiny and purpose. It's exactly this sort of like campy but cool JRPG storytelling that Tetsuya Nomura writes. So I've got
cheese.
I know. I've got one foot in being like, I don't know how I feel about the narrative, but the other foot's like, yeah, it's a style. It's one that Tetsuya Nomura pulls off, and it's one that I want to follow through. And of course, I love seeing the Disney characters. It's fucking ridiculous seeing them dressed up with like their Final Fantasy designs or whatever, but it's really charming. I think this is a game with a lot of heart. I think the combat feels good even early on, and so I am excited to play it. It's gonna be one that I chip away at. But I'm very excited.
Yeah. This is one that we're thinking about doing some content about, just considering we had a good conversation yesterday about how Smash has influenced us as gamers. This was not on camera, but about how when a character gets introduced, it does persuade both of us to want to give a series that we have no connection to a try, because Sakurai clearly cares about it, and it would be really cool to have played that series and be able to know, oh, this is what that move is referencing. Like when I played through Banjo-Kazooie and then would go back and watch the Banjo trailer or play Banjo in Smash, I'm like, oh shit, man. Oh man, he really thought this through. And that's really cool. And I really want Sora to be that way for me, because we watching that trailer yesterday, in one ear, out the other. Yes, his midair dash and his Firaga and Thundraga and all this shit. I'm like, doesn't mean anything to me. And that's no fault of Sakurai or the game, but I just have no experience with it. So Kingdom Hearts content may be coming. If I tried the game and if Abram finishes it, which we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's gonna probably be like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I just am gonna be playing it in bursts over the course of a couple weeks, and that's how I'll see it through. I have to say, Metroid Dread, of course, by the time you watch this, I probably will have already played 2 to 4 hours of it. But when I finish
and I'll put it up at approximately 3 a.m. tomorrow. So I don't know how you've played 4 hours of it in that time, but you'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. But after Dread, before Mario Party Superstars, there's not a whole lot I want to play. I'm going to try Guardians with you. I don't want to try Far Cry 6, to be totally honest.
No, you don't.
No, I really don't. I know you want to try that, so I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. But in terms of new releases, Metroid, Take a Break, Mario Party.
When's Forza?
Forza is the 5th of November, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But we got time before that. So I got a nice gap for Kingdom Hearts as soon as I'm done with Dread. So
sure. Speaking of new releases, let's go talk about WarioWare Incorporated Mega Microgames on Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
Because in Roblox, I emulated it on my computer during work.
Fucking $6 on the Wii eShop.
Yeah, but when I'm at work and have nothing to do, and well, I could be watching Casino Royale, but I think I'd fucking do that. I download Mega Microgames in 25 seconds, boot it up, and it on my big ass screen with S and D as A and B and a directional pad, or the directional keys as a directional pad.
Yeah,
there's no reason to not. I mean, it's only $6, yes, but if I wanted to have better access to this game, there's no reason for me not to emulate it, because this game works phenomenally well on an emulator, and I had a great time with this game. I really loved it. I think its simplicity makes it stand out from the only other WarioWare experience I've had, which is Get It Together, which we reviewed, if I remember, Card in the Corner. But yeah, no, I played through this. It took me, I think, like 2 hours and 20 minutes to beat the final Wario world. And I tried as much of the side content as I could. There's a bunch that's locked behind multiplayer, which I obviously did not have access to.
Yes. Well, something that's interesting in those multiplayer ones, I don't know if you checked it out, but that's single GBA multiplayer. One person holds one side of the GBA, the other person holds the other, which is really, really clever.
Yeah, no, that is clever, but I didn't try them.
I played them by myself.
But fire any questions you have about my experience with this game.
Okay, which do you prefer, the character style or the button input microgame style? That's what I'm most curious about.
The thing I would say is having Get Together as my first experience. I wouldn't say I prefer the controlling the little character style of gameplay, but I prefer that game on the whole because the controlling the characters gives the characters a lot more personality. It lets you see them more often. It lets you know their names and like have them interacting with each other, because this game is all the characters are ostensibly separate in their own little stories. They gather at this little fucking ice cream parlor or whatever in the middle of the city, but they never say anything to each other. There's not a lot of interaction, and of course they have their own personalities through the little.
I'm off. Of course, we are still recording. It's okay. You forget. It's very easy to forget when I have my ring light on and I'm sitting in front of the camera. It's understandable. Have a good class. As you were saying.
But having the characters be separate works well to define their personalities on their own, but it does feel pretty disconnected. Like Diamond City or whatever it is like just a place with a bunch of crap thrown together, which has its own charm, but the slight amount of more coherency and interaction that Get It Together allows, because the characters are interacting with one another and you're seeing them more often because you're controlling them, and there's little cutscenes where they bounce off one another. I think I prefer that. It allows the charm to shine through a little more. But for a 2-hour highly replayable experience on the GBA, this game is great. It's awesome.
No, it's really great. And I will say one thing about the personality. When fucking Dr. Krygor is trying to unclog his toilet and he like drinks his own fucking shit and then clogs the toilet and then he's trying to escape his own lab, or you're fucking throwing bananas at cop cars. I think that weirdness for me sells their personalities more personally than playing as them in the games, even though you get a better sense for them because you get to be them and get it together. So I'm kind of two minds on that front, because I love those little cutscenes, even if they're basically nonsensical. But I will say that I think I do prefer the character format. Because the biggest problem with the older WarioWare games for me is that sometimes they give you an instruction and it's just not clear what you're supposed to do.
100%. You're pressing the buttons, and if it's at the wrong time, nothing happens, and then you just fail the game, and you're like, huh? And you see it 10 more times, and you still never understand it. Huh?
Yeah. So I think that for the sake of replayability and for legibility, I don't know what the right word would be, for understanding the rules, for understandability, right? I think that I prefer this new format of WarioWare, but nonetheless, Microgame is awesome.
Yeah,
it's really an awesome game.
It's a really fun time, and I think it places itself in a really unique position, especially for how old it is. And doing a little research, I mean, there's a lot of WarioWare games.
There are a lot of them.
I don't know how many of them I'm like super interested in trying, because like half of them, even though they are WarioWare games, have like a play on what WarioWare is. It's not just like a continuation of more micro games. But I think that's fun. It's really experimental. And I'd like to try them, but a copy of Twisted is $100. If you want DIY, it's like $60. Like most of those games are hard to find because they're hardware specific, and it's difficult to replicate on other systems.
A lot of them are on Wii U eShop, at least. Smooth Moves, Touched. Those some good ones. You can get Gold. I think Gold's just the best one if you want to experience more old WarioWare. So I'd recommend Gold. I love DIY. Ultimately, if you don't have a lot of interest in making your own micro games, so there's not a whole lot of reason to play that one. But it's a great series. It's very experimental. It's very fun. Hit me with another one though, because I'm kind of running out.
Me? I'll hit you with a little bit of a low energy one, because unfortunately, I did not really enjoy my time with Jett the Far Shore. I got a code from Pop Agenda and the dev team over for they're called Super Brothers, I think, for Jett the Far Shore. And I was very grateful for that. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing this game. It's got a couple of trailers. I'm interested to give it a try. I put in the code, downloaded the game. I played about 2.5 hours of it. And I think this game just doesn't know where its strengths lie. Because when you look at the trailer, which is really about scale and it's about speed and maneuverability and fluidity, that's really only a small fraction of the experience of actually playing this game. Because there's a lot of things that just sort of weigh down on you actually being able to experience what I think the game was more sold as. There's a really interesting conceptual story of the future of not the human race, but a human-like race sort of traveling the stars thousands of years in hyperspace, sort of rediscovering a planet to make sure it's habitable for their species. That's all really cool. And so the idea of exploring a planet and discovering like each animal, you get to log them and learn what they do and how they interact and stuff. That's pretty fun, but it's bogged down through a whole hell of a lot of dialogue. The characters are just constantly talking, but they're not talking in English. They're talking in another made-up language. So you have to read the subtitles at the bottom while you're trying to maneuver through this world. So you don't know, well, which one do I look at this time? Do I need to just stop to listen to my co-pilot tell me something? Or like, okay, if I miss a direction on the radio from my boss or whatever, I'm gonna have no idea where to go or what to do because there's not a very clear like structured system. And also, unfortunately, the controls just aren't what they should be. The maps are really clunky in terms of you're either just going over nothing like an ocean or plains and it's like, okay, I'm going fast, but that doesn't really matter because what's in the distance is so far away that it's not like you're getting there quick anyway. Or you have to slow down and scan things, or you're running into trees because if you hit a tree, your thing spins out and you have to deal with that. And like, it's just a really weird balance that I don't think works very well for what I thought this game was going to be.
So what is this game? Because that's all very good analysis and it's very interesting. Yeah. But for somebody like me who basically has no fucking idea what this game is, I didn't like what is it? It's a fucking No Man's Sky type of deal.
You are in a ship, and it floats above the ground and it goes pretty quick. And that's really all that you need to know. I mean, it's a big open planet. It's not open. You can't go anywhere. Like there's goals for you to go to do. And I don't even know what happens if I think if maybe like a storm will like turn you around or whatever. So it is enclosed. It's not an open world, but it's supposed to just be like you controlling this little skiff over the surface of an alien planet, and you have like a jump and a boost and like that kind of stuff. But it's really simple in its controls. There's not a lot of nuance. It's one of those racing games, quote unquote, where a meter fills up and you don't want to let it get too hot. You got to let it cool down. And that's really the only nuance to the control scheme, which is unfortunate because that's not fun to engage with. That just means you can't go fast at all times if you want to. You can like pick up little collectibles. It's like steam or whatever that cools your thing down if you go over the spot, but it's really specific. You've really got to go over this tiny little hole in the ground. And another thing that makes it feel, I think, a little disjointing is in order to focus on the scale of this planet, the camera is pulled back really far a lot of the time, which makes your ship fucking minuscule. And I've never seen a controllable character this small in a video game before. And that's cool because it lets you see the world around you, but what's around you is mostly just empty and gray, because this planet is grays and browns and occasionally reds. So yeah, I don't actually think I certainly don't recommend this game. I did not have a great time trying it. I think it's got cool ideas, but it's just unsure of its own identity, and it makes it feel really muddled.
Yeah. I mean, I never got a good sense off of it at any of the showcases where PlayStation was pushing it. I didn't really understand what it was. It's cool that you got to try it. It's cool that you gave it the chance. I didn't see anybody else talking about it other than you. So Tucker Hazel out here being a fucking journalist.
Yeah, I mean, all I did was post a one tweet review and then copy and paste that review into my backlog. Oh. That's my journalism.
Journalism. I've heard of it.
Yeah, just like Venom Let There Be Carnage, a journalism movie. And what do you got next?
I'll tell you about Kirby Planet Robobot for a moment.
Oh!
But only for one moment, because I only played like 3 stages of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this, like I said, it's been a transitory period. It's been a period of a lot of work, a lot of school, and a lot of reviews. So it's been circumspect. But so we finished Superstar Ultra. We are going to have what I would say is a barn burner of a review on that one coming out too long.
Yes.
I haven't yet broached the topic with you, but I want to just leave the title of the video as the name of this YouTube video.
You did bring that up to me. I think that's a funny idea, but I actually don't know if it's a good idea.
Maybe you'll see what I'm talking about, maybe you won't. But so we played that game. I thought it was great. The difference of opinion there, you'll see in the video. But the two Kirby games that are constantly lauded as the best in the series are Superstar Ultra, kind of for the older style of Kirby, and then of the modern games, people say Robobot's the best. Mm-hmm. I got a copy of Robobot from my aunt, who beat it and then gave it to me back in 2016. And I played a good few worlds of it. Ultimately, it didn't do a whole hell of a lot for me. At that time, I had gotten my PlayStation 4 at the beginning of that year. I'd gotten a Vita just a couple months earlier. I was really excited to be playing PlayStation stuff again after not having a PS3 or a PSP. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, there's also a time when Nintendo was not doing the best that they could be. So I was just, there are a lot of factors beyond Robobot kind of turned me away from it. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it just felt like more Kirby.
Yeah.
Playing it now, I think it still feels like more Kirby. However, I think that the conceit of the game, this sort of robotic element, is very interesting for a number of reasons. I think it gives the game a strong and a different visual identity. It gets us away from the dreamland tropes. It grounds you in a very concrete world, and it gives you Kirby's mech. And Kirby's mech is very interesting. Ultimately, Kirby's mech is just Kirby, but the copy abilities do different things and you're bigger.
Yeah.
However, it still provides enough of a different flavor that it makes the formula feel a little bit different, even if it's more the veneer of mechanical newness opposed to true newness.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But in the context of a Kirby game that learned lessons from everything that came before it, so really great collectibles, really smooth controls, really solid level design, both pulling on what I remember.
Wait, this just sounds infinitely better than Superstar.
Right. Pulling on what I remember from when I played it before and when I played now, dabbling in the first world again. I'm excited to give it a proper go in next time I get a more opportune moment too. Mm-hmm.
Which may not be for a while. This is low priority.
Yeah, it's all I'm saying is pre-Forgotten Land. But the truth of the matter is 3DS games from like the late tail 3DS games, the good ones, do not drop in price. Mm-hmm. You cannot get a copy of this game for less than $40 online, maybe $30, but then you're going to be paying shipping, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, I just bought it off the eShop. I felt totally fine about that. It's a great game to jump in and jump out of. So I want to kind of plug the last couple Kirby holes I have before Forgotten Land comes out. But
Kirby is a sinking ship. You got to make sure you plug those holes.
I really think that you would like. I think that if I said it was Superstar, so asterisk on this. But based on your many criticisms of Superstar that I think are very fair, Robobot would address them.
No, I mean, yeah, it already sounds better.
And if Robobot doesn't do it, then I'll shut the fuck up about Kirby for the rest of my life.
No, but the thing is I'm still going to be playing these games. They're not long, and they're pretty accessible on the whole. Yeah. So I am going to end up probably playing the entire Kirby series at some point in my life and whining all the way through. But I hope to find the one that does click with me, and it certainly could be Robobot. But I haven't played it, so couldn't say. You done? You fucking done with your Kirby nonsense?
Yeah, and I got one more game.
All right, let's talk about something that's not nonsense, because this is one of the most unique games ever, and I really think, which is Before Your Eyes.
Ooh, okay.
A indie game released on Steam, maybe Epic Game Store, just came to Mac last week. And I played it on my MacBook Pro. A game where you control it using your blinks. Only your eyeballs. I mean, you have to use your mouse to like look around the environment, but to interact with things, you blink, use your eyes. So it has your webcam on. And this doesn't sound like a huge change, but as you get more into the experience of playing this game, which is about 2 hours long to finish it, you realize that it completely changes the way you're thinking about yourself looking at a game and interacting with it. I mean, you're going through the story of a guy who has died, and you're a soul on like the river of Styx, whatever, a fisherman has scooped you up, and you are going to tell your life story to the gatekeeper to be judged to see if you can essentially go to heaven. And so you're revisiting your life through different segments. That you can only watch until you blink, and then you move on. You can skip to 2 seconds later. I mean, something like someone could walk in the room. That could be the next like scene that you see, or it could be 5 years later. And that variety and like honestly sense of tension is you want to stay in this moment, but you physically cannot. Like you can't keep your eyes open. And if you like trying to resist the blink, but like halfway do it, you're done. Like you move on because that's how the game is like teaching you to want to stay in the moment. It's really powerful, and the story has a great twist. But like, I'm not going to spoil it here.
Yeah.
But it makes this whole setup way more emotional. The concept way more emotional. It reframes everything you've experienced about a fourth from the end, and I think this game is phenomenal for what it is. It's got this like pastel sort of simplistic art style with these amazing character animations and character designs that sort of reminds me of like a Donut County sort of aesthetic.
And Annapurna vibe.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's Annapurna, but it might be. No, it's not. Yes, you're right. But I'm here. This is before your eyes Q&A because I played this about 2 days ago, and I really do want to try to explain this game as best I can.
I think you did a perfect job. From what I understand, that you basically covered it. I don't really have any questions because ultimately I don't want to know.
Yeah, sure.
I will not let 2021 end without me playing this game.
Yeah.
Because we have plans, pull back the curtain a little bit. More than this, we're going to do plenty of end of the year coverage for gaming, but a list of our favorite games we played irrespective of year, and then a list of our favorite games from 2021. Mm-hmm. And I'd be doing this game a massive injustice to have not played it and have that be in the consideration for my list before the year ends. I will play this game. I think it sounds amazing. I heard about it back at launch. Yeah. Because when I was working for CBR, one of the other editors was reviewing it and they were talking about how great it was. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you're singing its praises. Nisk, our friend Nisk, she's singing its praises.
Ayla, Daniel, a lot of people in our Discord server joined down below have been talking about this, and that's what pushed me to play it. And I don't think it's expensive, probably $15.
Perfect. I think,
and you need to set your mindset going into this. This is not mechanically complex. There's like 4 different things that you're able to interact with at all, and even then, like it's a basic way of interacting with them. It does reframe how you think of yourself playing a video game and interacting with one in a really interesting way that also doesn't overstay its welcome. I didn't move from my seat. Like I had to pee about a third from the end, and I was like, nope. Because if I get up and like it thinks I'm blinking, does it speed through the things? I could have paused it. I don't know. But like I wanted to experience it in one moment, like with my eyes consistently drying out more and more as I no, I want to hear what this character is saying. No, I if I blink, I'll miss more character development. Like at the end of a conversation is so interesting that, oh man, if I let myself give in to the power of blinking, I lose that moment. And just thinking about that as a concept and applying it to a video game is so unique. And it deserves this place as, man, this is ridiculously creative. No one thought of this before. And they just did it. And they did it with aplomb, with an amazing story, with phenomenal voice acting, a great visual style, and that is perfect for its length. And I also think there's a bunch of different story paths you can choose. Because there's a couple key moments where if you choose to interact with something or not, I believe that changes the story in pretty significant ways. I don't know because I've only done it once, but thinking back to the moments where I did make a choice, I'm like, oh, if I hadn't done that, something really different could have happened. So I'm really interested to hear what choices you make and how the story plays out for you. When you end up playing the game, I think maybe having a larger discussion of the story, of how your interaction plays into that would be really fun to have. Yeah, absolutely. It will happen. Last game for you. Last game for me. How many more do you have? None. Oh. Well, the last game I have is Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. This game is really fucking great. It's a really great game. So my roommate Martin, who has a habit of not paying any attention to us recording, regardless of when I tell him we're recording, loves Devil May Cry 3.
He's a big JRPG guy. He's also a big character action guy. He tries to get me to play Final Fantasy VII. I tried a little bit of it. I'll maybe get to that one. But what's far more up my alley personally is Devil May Cry 3. I played Devil May Cry 5 last year, adored it. Played Bayonetta 2 this year, loved that even more than Devil May Cry 5. And this is considered the best in its genre of character action games, DMC3. Playing it on Switch, you have the special edition and the souped up special edition. So you've got a lot of modern DMC things. So you've got style switching, you've got weapon switching on the go. A lot of things that don't mean anything to you unless you have played a DMC game are here, and they make this a really fluid experience. Partially by merit of those facts, and partially because this game was just ahead of its time already. This game feels completely timeless. It does not feel like I'm going back to a PS2 game. It's so stylish from a story perspective. The characters, the cutscenes, it's all really awesome. I think it feels really good to play. But
I saw your inhale leading to a butt, and I just wanted to. I love your butt, so I just wanted to continue that with you.
I just think that the style.
He's choosing his words wisely here, folks.
The style is why I like character action as much as I do.
Sure.
And the style here is great, but the style in Bayonetta 2 is fucking bonkers.
Sure.
The style in DMC5 is absolutely outrageous. So while I love the gameplay here, I just think that this is a genre that continues to be filed to a point.
Sure.
It gets sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper. And that's how we ended up with Bayonetta 2. It's how we ended up with DMC5. It's how we've gotten all of these other games in the periphery. That doesn't make DMC3 any less great, but I think it puts it in context as to DMC3 is the reason we could have a Bayonetta 2 and DMC5.
Of course, 100%.
And when sometimes the level design is not that great and the platforming feels a little bit clunky. Again, I've played only about 5 hours of the game. I really enjoy it a lot. I think it's a really exceptional game, but as someone on the periphery of the genre only, I'd much rather be playing a Bayo 2 or a DMC5. So
sure.
This is one that I will beat. Mostly as an olive branch to Martin, because most of those favorite games of all time, it's not the sort of games I want to play as much as I'd like to give them a shot. But this is a wonderful middle ground in a game that I think is still quite excellent. But the other games that have come after it are excellent-er.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, Bayonetta 3 releasing 2022. Let's see if your filed to a point metaphor continues. Because if Bayonetta 3 beats out DMC5,
well, for me, it goes Bayo 2, DMC5.
So it's not really filed to a point. It's filed to a point at Bayonetta 2, and then it goes downhill for DMC5.
Yeah, but they're both
I'm just
temporary to each other. But people are gonna fucking be like,
What year did Bayonetta 5 what year did Bayonetta 2 come out?
In 2020.
This guy's a joker. He's a funny lad. Look at him. Look at the smile on his face. He knows.
2014 it came out.
Okay. So they're close to contemporary. I can see what you're saying. Same generation, I think, is the best way to. Let's just hope that PS5 and Switch and Xbox One generation is even point to your point. Xbox Series X. Okay. Is that all you have to say? Are you done talking about fucking anime bullshit? Yeah, he is. All right. We're gonna go to our new segment.
Oh, I forgot we had a new segment.
Community BLB, which we have sort of shifted around all of our different concepts for shows, and one of the little warts that we grabbed from the corpse, the rotting, disgusting corpse of Nintendo at Night, is the idea of community involvement, which I would love to have in more of our shows as we sort of started introducing it into other things. But BLB is a good segment for us to sort of talk about other games that we haven't been playing, but the people in our community have been playing. So we have the BLB questions, though I don't know if that makes sense as a title for the channel.
Because these aren't questions.
No, they're not. The BLB questions channel, which will probably have its name changed imminently, on our Discord server, where people have submitted the games that they have been playing, and they've given a little blurb. And then we haven't fully decided what the segment is, but I guess we can just sort of talk about what we think about their thoughts on it, what our experiences with the game, give us a chance to broaden our horizons a little bit, and of course, supplement when someone like Abram comes in to BLB with nothing to talk about, because he talked about nothing today, no games. That gives us a little bit of padding. But the first, and I think fittingly so, the first person who gets their question read out is our good friend Abi, who states a very scary statement. He says, "So I finished Cyberpunk, which I really enjoyed." And that's the scary part. Holy shit, that terrified. That makes me quake my motherfucking boots. But he says, "I feel at times the world is very bland. There are some set pieces which make it one of the best worlds I've ever been in." That's actually his whole comment. I thought it was longer than that. But he finished Cyberpunk, and it seems like, there's elements he enjoyed, but elements that hold it back.
Yeah, I think that sounds completely reasonable.
Yeah, it does.
Here's the thing.
It definitely sounds reasonable.
Talking about Cyberpunk is fucking ridiculous. Because here's the thing. The game reviewed incredibly well.
Yeah.
And then CD Projekt Red's fucked it up on console.
Yeah.
And since then, nobody has any idea what the reputation of this game is. If you go to our Discord server, for the lion's share of you guys, the game's fucking garbage.
Yeah.
You go on Metacritic, everybody loves the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is an instance where CD Projekt Red completely shot themselves. They shot their foot off.
They shot their leg off.
They shot their foot off with a fucking buckshot shotgun, and their foot went and like knocked off the wall and came back and hit them in the head. That's what happened. It was like a fucking Looney Tunes skit. Because ultimately, I think Abi's right. I think this is a really great game. I think this is a great Western action RPG, closer to the action FPS side than RPG side. But what it is, it's a very playable, it's a very fun game that is held back by some design level choices, but a lot of meta level choices
from
CD Projekt that are really what is obscuring a lot of the quality of this game. Now, I know that you have your problems with the format of the game.
Yeah.
We had the great Cyberpunk debate, or it says called, I forget what it's called.
Something like that.
Cyberpunk
sucks, I think.
But no, I think Cyberpunk's a great game.
Yeah.
I've said that before. I think it's a great game.
I think my problem looking back on it is I do think that I was too harsh on it. I do think I should have given a little more of a try. I don't know if a lot of my problems technically would have been smoothed out if I had played more of the game. I actually think they probably would have gotten worse in a larger open world with more things to fuck up in terms of bugs on base PlayStation 4, which is where I was playing it. But I did enjoy the world. I was interested in the story, but I didn't have any reason. The game gave me no reason to push through, to be honest. But taking that into consideration, I also don't think it's a game I ever have any interest in going back to. I've sort of developed a realization that I like playing shorter games, and that these open world games really weigh me down and sort of like sap away my energy over time. So especially with a game that does feel lacking in areas, and this genre being so prolific, I'd rather go play through Horizon or Ghost or Far Cry 6 or whatever, as opposed to going back to a game, which of course has been updated. I'd be interested in knowing at the end of the year, maybe on its 1-year anniversary, how much the game really has improved. But I kind of doubt I'll end up going back to it, unless it's sort of like 5 years in retrospective, is Cyberpunk finally good?
Well, the thing about Cyberpunk that was to the chagrin of many, but to the benefit of myself, the game is 20 hours long.
Okay.
It's not a big game. It's not a Fallout. It's not a Skyrim.
Which of course is not what it was sold as.
Right. It's very dense. You can spend 100 hours here doing
of course.
Whatever the fuck you want to, but it is that
Night City is approximately the size of the Great Plateau, I believe.
The main drag of Cyberpunk you can beat in 20 hours, and that's what I did pretty much. I really, Cyberpunk, as little c Cyberpunk, the genre is something that I find very interesting.
Yeah.
And so I want to go back to this game, but I will not go back until the next version is out, because
it hasn't come out yet.
No.
Wait, what the fuck? Wasn't that supposed to come out in like March?
It was a loose 2021 window, but in light of them being hacked, and then in light of COVID, it got pushed.
Yeah, of course.
But so And it still might come out in 2021, but it seems pretty clearly it's not coming in 2021.
Well, what was the last information we got from fucking CD Projekt Red?
They release information very regularly. They're very regular.
No one reports on it anymore, which is I think why I never see it.
Yeah, but very regularly the game is updated. The file size is fucking enormous now. It's like 150 gigabytes or something.
God.
On PS5, and I just keep updating it because I don't want to have to re-download all of that. You know, at a certain point, I'm held hostage. But
which that's like a fifth of your more than how much storage does the fucking PS5 have?
Like 825.
Okay, so that's like a sixth of your fucking storage there.
But I mean, I loved the game when I played it, but it still had technical issues. Even on PS5, it was just not where I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I go into Night City to become immersed into the side content and all of this stuff, I want the game to support me, right?
Yeah.
So when that next gen version comes out, I will drop. Doesn't matter if fucking Star Fox 64, don't worry guys, it's good this time sequel comes out. I will drop anything to play Cyberpunk properly again for 40 hours. So
I do not believe you. I do not believe if they announced a Star Fox 64 sequel that was just as good, if not better than Star Fox 64.
It was an extreme example. It was hyperbole for the sake of conversation, but
hyperbole.
With key exception.
No, I understand. I'm just being a little bitch. And the last thing was some of these comments are pretty old because we haven't done BLB in a while. Our friend Will in the server has been playing The Binding of Isaac. Believe it or not, that's the only fucking thing he plays. He says the Repentance DLC is really a mixed bag. It had so much incredible shit, like some voice acting. Oh, I didn't know Binding of Isaac had voice acting and new routes, but it's also buggy as hell. Some items do nothing, others aren't coded to spawn. Some characters have terrible balancing. It's got major issues. Despite this, holy fuck, this game is incredible, and I'm not going to stop playing it for a while. Now that's obvious. If you have been around our Discord server at any point, I genuinely believe that's the only game he's played in the last year and a half, as far as I know. But I don't know anything about the DLC. It's interesting that this game is continually updated. I remember Rebirth and Afterbirth coming out, and he said this one is Repentance, which I didn't really hear anyone talk about, but it's crazy this game keeps getting updated. Holy shit.
Yeah, I had to edit quite a number of pieces about this for CBR, so I got kind of the high-level notion that this is a harder expansion, and Binding of Isaac's already a very hard game, notoriously.
Yeah.
Classical roguelite there. I don't give a hoot, pardon my language. Good for Will.
You're pardoned.
But it's a very important game. Sir Ian McKellen, what's his name? Who makes the game?
Edmund McMillan?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go.
Very cool developer. I think Binding of Isaac has such an interesting aesthetic and concept, but it's just not my sort of game.
Yeah. Aram has been dreaming for many years to be locked in a grimy, bloody basement naked with only his tears to fight off enemies.
I do that every week, so why'd I play a video game about it?
That's great point. But if I just want to quickly talk about my experience with Binding of Isaac,
if he didn't. I
played a good amount of this game on Steam back in the day. I went through a phase. This was probably 2013 to 2015. I bought like all the important indie games of the last few years, and I would just like sit there and be like, indie games. I didn't give a fuck about anything else. And Binding of Isaac was one of those, along with Meat Boy and Fez and Shovel Knight and Braid. There's a whole subsect of indie games, and I played a good amount of it, but that was, I think, the first roguelike I ever touched. So I did not understand what was going on. I'm like, I beat the world. Where's the cutscene? Where's the next level? Like, huh? And it was very confusing to me. And I think at that point, though, I've had my fill of the game. I mean, I know what the game is like, and I don't have the mindset to get into the nuance of the items and the combos and stuff like that, which I know the game has. But I don't want to sink 100 hours into a game that I'm never going to beat. That's why I don't play roguelikes. I have such a mindset to finish things and to be able to check them off, and for the most part, never go back to them. And roguelikes obviously do not fit that vein. So Binding of Isaac is not for me.
October 15th, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh yeah.
20-minute Animal Crossing direction.
That's true. Yeah, someone gave us that information.
I just got pinged about that.
Yeah. So we'll be doing stuff about that, I guess.
Yes.
And I'll be entirely free because I'm going back to Austin for a week, so that means I don't have to worry about fucking anything.
What day of the week is that? Oh, that's a Friday, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to my mom.
Happy
but more importantly, it's the release date of Halloween Kills.
All right, do you have any more comments?
No, we're done. We're fucking done here. Something? No.
Yes, Nisk put something. Hold on.
All that she said is, do you guys want a list of games or with quick thoughts or something more in depth? And then she gave a saluting email, and that's literally it.
She fucking wrote. I thought she wrote about one of the Castlevania Advance games.
Well, I mean, she's been playing all those.
That might have been a backlog.
Yeah, if we can dig that up for the next backlog for the next installment of BLB, I think 2 comments a week is actually probably good balance to have. So thank you very much for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching.
Circle of the Moon is an interesting middle ground between classic Castlevania gameplay and Iga style. Harmony of Distance is a fun but fairly easy Metroidvania, though it's tototally lacking atmosphere compared to the other games. Haven't played the other 2 in the collection, but they look solid. Thank you, Nisk, for your contribution.
Well, neither of us have played either of those games, so we actually can't talk about them at all. But yeah, end the damn thing. Deep breath. Massage out those fucking eye bags.
I'll massage your eye bags if you're not careful.
I don't want to be careful then.